Tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā mihi mahana ki a koutou, e hono mai ana o te motu. Ko Laura Skeef tōku ingoa, e kōrero ana ahau I raro I te maru o Hikurangi, ki Turanga Nui a Kiwa. I have the great pleasure of speaking to you today about the seminars offered by the Institute for Studies in Global Prosperity, or ISGP for short. I had the great bounty of working in the ISGP office while serving at the Baha'i World Centre in Haifa some years ago, and I have been lucky enough to continue to be involved in these seminars since coming back to Aotearoa. There are two programs offered by ISGP that are open to young adults here in Aotearoa. One is the seminars for university students, and Anthony Zempke will be sharing more about these in this presentation. The other is the seminar for graduates and young professionals, which I will be sharing more about in the second half of the presentation. In the second year of the ISGP undergraduate seminars, participants study some materials about education. One of the many ideas that they explore is understanding. What does it mean to understand? What kinds of things does the human mind seek to understand? What tools can help achieve understanding? One idea they are introduced to is that there are two powerful mental tools at their disposal. One is analysis, that is, breaking things into smaller parts in order to understand the interactions and relations between them. The other tool consists of placing things within larger and larger contexts in order to gain insights into the causes and the reasons for things. We wanted to begin this presentation today about the seminars offered by ISGP by placing them within their larger context. So bear with me for a few minutes. Is not the object of every revelation, Baha'u'llah says, to effect a transformation in the whole character of mankind, a transformation that shall manifest itself, both outwardly and inwardly, that shall affect both its inner life and external conditions. Since the dawn of the Baha'i faith, the followers of Baha'u'llah have been working to bring about this profound transformation. This effort touches every corner of our personal lives. Each morning we wake, we turn to God in prayer, we read from the writings, and we look to Abdul Baha as an example of how to live our lives. In our work, our studies, our service, our families, and all our interactions with others, we strive that each little action and thought of ours may be just a small drop in this great river flowing towards a glorious future. But given the scale of the transformation that must take place in the world, thinking and acting as individuals by ourselves will only get us so far. We must come together in action. And we're so blessed to be part of a religion, the religion for today, where there is a clear center towards which we can turn for guidance and inspiration for our collective efforts. The plans of the Universal House of Justice, which carry forward those of Abdul Baha and Shoghi Effendi, enable us to see how we can best contribute at this time as a growing worldwide community to bringing about the transformation envisioned by Baha'u'llah. At this stage in the community's development, the House of Justice has been focusing our learning on three broad areas of activity. The first area is related to the growth and development of the Baha'i community. In unassuming settings around the world, Baha'is join together with people from all backgrounds to strengthen the spiritual foundations of neighborhoods and villages. Alongside the many elements that make up a rich community life, with which you will all be familiar, we unite with others in prayer, enter into purposeful conversations, help children and junior youth to develop their spiritual faculties and build a strong moral identity. And we study the creative word in order to build capacity for service. All of these core activities, as we often refer to them, are not just mere activities. In a sense, we are all part of a living laboratory, not a laboratory where we just randomly experiment, but one where we systematically learn how to translate the principles of the faith into living and constructive action. Complementary to this work at the grassroots level, the House of Justice has also been guiding the Baha'i community to learn more about becoming involved in the life of wider society, to address certain social and economic needs through social action initiatives, and to join with others in conversation about the pressing needs of humanity, known as participation in the discourses of society. Earlier this year, the House of Justice dedicated much of its annual Rizwan message to talking about the advances that have been made by the Baha'i community across these three broad areas of activity over the past 25 years. One sentence stood out to me because these seminars are very dear to my heart, and it was also highlighted for Anthony and I by the National Spiritual Assembly when they asked us to give this presentation. In the message, the House of Justice mentions, as just one of the many achievements of the last 25 years, the seminars offered by the Institute for Studies in Global Prosperity, which, in collaboration with the institutions of the cause, now serve youth from well over 100 countries. It writes that these seminars, alongside other developments, are beginning to impact on the intellectual life of the worldwide Baha'i community. So ISGP is an organization that may be lesser known to some of you. It was created by the Universal House of Justice in 1999. And one of its main goals has been to learn how to raise capacity in individuals, groups, and institutions to participate in conversations that have considerable bearing on the life of society. Our talk today is not the place to go into the history of ISGP and some of its other activities. If you're interested, you can visit their beautiful website, globalprosperity.org. In this presentation, we have the privilege to speak about the two seminars that are open to young adults in Aotearoa. Because of the limitations on travel, unfortunately, Anthony and I weren't able to be together to give this presentation, but I'm happy to virtually hand it over to Anthony and Tamaki Makoto, who's serving as the coordinator of the undergraduate seminars in Aotearoa, and will share with you more about this program.
Mihi ki a koe Laura, aroha ana aho ki tō kororo. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Anthony taku ingoa, ke Tamaki Makoto aho e noho ana. Thank you, Laura, for providing us with the larger context in which ISGP functions and for setting the scene as to how its seminars operate as a means for building capacity in individuals to participate in the discourses of society. It's really quite the mouthful. As Laura has mentioned, the ISGP seminars come in two offerings, the graduate seminars and the undergraduate seminars. For the past 5 years, the undergraduate offering in Aotearoa has been an integral part of my life as a Baha'i University student. By the time this presentation airs, I will have had the privilege of completing all 4 years of the undergraduate seminar and had the bounty to serve alongside Laura and a number of other friends with facilitating and coordinating the program. From my experience, all those involved in the seminars, whether they're participants or facilitators, or even the members of communities in which these individuals live and serve, undergo some degree of profound spiritual transformation. This transformation takes place in a most unique setting, where rather than offering answers and instructions, Baha'i University students come together each year for a period of 11 days in mid-December to consult, to study certain key concepts, and to reflect on their experiences at university. The seminars provide an opportunity for like-minded students who face similar challenges and are at a similar stage in life to come together and to think very deeply about how they can translate Baha'u'llah's vision into practice, both in their own lives and society at large. Although the seminars occur during the school and university holidays, it is often difficult for some youth to attend. Youth with work commitments or other engagements over the holiday period are encouraged to see the program as a fundamental part of their education, just like their university studies. These youth are also encouraged to consult with their families and to make every effort to contribute to the cost of the seminar. However, finances should never be a barrier to participation, and various avenues are available and open to ensure that all university students are able to attend. These youth will typically enter the seminars at the same time as they commence their university studies. So they're usually between the ages of 17 to 20 when they begin this ISGP journey. The special value of this priceless period in the life of an individual is greatly emphasized in the Baha'i writings. Abdu'l-Baha refers to youthhood as the springtime in the life of a human being, characterized by strength and vigor, the choicest time in human life. During this period of youth, young Baha'is become increasingly aware of the needs of the societies in which they live, the injustices and suffering of so many, and the profound transformation that must take place in the world. The Universal House of Justice has also written a number of messages addressed to Baha'i youth, and all about this unique phase of life. In one message it writes that in the young people of the world lies a reservoir of capacity to transform society waiting to be tapped. It is to this reservoir of capacity which ISGP directs its attention. To give you an idea of the fruits of ISGP's labors in tapping into the latent capacities of these youth, particularly those who've entered into higher education, we've called upon a number of participants and facilitators of the ISGP seminars to share how the program has impacted their studies and lives at large. The following short interviews come from friends studying and working across a range of different fields, all across Aotearoa, and at various stages in their ISGP journey. Here they are.
Kia ora koutou katoa. My name is Ali Bradley. I'm currently a fifth-year medical student at the University of Auckland. I participated in the ISGP undergraduate seminars. My first year was in 2014, and I was lucky enough to do all 4 years of the seminar, and they've really assisted me a lot throughout my studies. Initially, I think the seminars helped me to view my education in the context of my purpose in life, which I, through the seminars, kind of was able to reflect on, that this is really to help contribute to an advancing civilization, and that education is a tool to give us the skills to contribute to that process. Participating in the ISGP seminars also inspired me to dedicate significant portions of my time as a university student to advancing the community building processes in my cluster. And this was something which I did through having a deeper understanding of the efforts of the Baha'i community worldwide to expand and consolidate our faith, and seeing how important that was as a young person to give sufficient time to those processes.
Kia ora, my name is Michael Zemke. I studied a Bachelor of Law and Commerce, and I started the ISGP seminars in 2017. I found that participating in these seminars gave me a better understanding of the vision shared in the Baha'i writings and in the divine plan of how us as individuals must contribute to the advancement of society. And I found that this vision that was shared through the seminars and that I gained a greater understanding of actually helped me in my studies to find coherence between the actions that I wanted to take within my field and in my studies of through law and commerce, but then also to make sure that they aligned with my beliefs and with the framework of the Baha'i community. And in that way, I came to realize that there is also a balance that needs to be taken within both studying and looking for work in your field, but also in my service as well. And I think that the seminars also helped me to gain a greater vision of what it means to be both active within my community and serving along with from the guidance of the House of Justice, but also to be contributing in my field and studying at university, and being in that environment and talking to those people there about how to contribute to the advancement of society.
Kia ora, my name is Shireen. I studied English and Education at university, and I've been involved in the undergraduate seminars since the second year of its arrival in New Zealand, and since 2016 I've had the privilege of being one of the facilitators of the seminars. I think that one of the best things that I gained from participating in the seminars was a framework for understanding my university studies. The framework that ISGP gives you is Baha'i inspired, obviously, and it just helps you to comprehend the assumptions and the underlying way of viewing humanity that some of our courses promote, and it helps you to just gain the best of those courses and sort of sift through what is being offered and understand which parts are in line with a Baha'i understanding of reality and of our hopeful future, and see that which parts are coming from a fear of where the world's going and the disintegrative forces. So one of the great things that happened to me was one of my essays that I wrote for my master's was heavily influenced by the content of the undergraduate seminars, and my professor was really impressed by it and decided to publish it because she saw that it had these ideas that need to be out there, new ideas that isn't just the same thing that everyone else is saying. That was great.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Tajar.
I'm Ella.
So we both attended ISGP a few years ago. I studied at the University of Waikato, a bachelor's degree in electronic commerce with a major in marketing, and I'm currently working towards a master's in teaching and learning.
And I studied at the University of Auckland, did a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science and Geography, and finished my master's in disaster management.
For me, one of the key things I really got from ISGP was that it helped really strengthen my Baha'i identity during this time where it's a space of people really trying to understand who they are and their place in the world. And there's a lot of conflicting ideas and perceptions on how life is meant to be lived. And so going to ISGP, it really helped me be able to strengthen that identity, but also be able to articulate my ideas through a Baha'i lens, and that held strong to my values, and articulate those in a way that I felt gave justice to who I was, and I felt confident in being able to express myself in that space.
Yeah, similar on confidence. ISGP gave me the confidence to engage in discourses with uni friends and lecturers, and I was able to critique the content that was being delivered at university with a Baha'i lens.
My name is Jessica. I'm currently studying fine arts, and I started the seminars in 2018. The seminars helped me deepen my conversations with friends and peers and express concepts logically and concisely. It's also been helpful in terms of my art practice, as these concepts kind of frame ideas and motifs in my work and acts as jumping boards for further research. I think it's very easy for uni students to be overwhelmed with this big life change. Not only are you accountable for your own education, but you also have to learn how to take care of yourself, both mentally and physically. ISGP kind of acts as a reminder to look after yourself spiritually, with coherence being an important concept in your first year. It reminds you that service and prayer and understanding the writings is equally important for not only your own well-being but the world around you.
Kia ora, Jessica, and thank you to all the interviewees for sharing. I hope that hearing from their experience has shed some light onto just how transformative the ISGP seminars have been for youth in Aotearoa. It seems clear from what these participants have shared that their engagement in the seminars occurs in a most unique part of their lives, when they have numerous opportunities to render great service to the betterment of the world. This period is also seen as a time when youth begin to make preparations for their future. In a beautiful message written in 2015, the House of Justice speaks to the community about this time of preparation. They write that the significant decisions which youth make about the direction of their adult lives will determine whether service to the cause of God was only a brief and memorable chapter of their younger years or a fixed center of their earthly existence, a lens through which all actions come into focus. The decisions a person makes in their youthful years, writes the House of Justice, will set the course of his life. And it is during this time that the mind is most questioning, and that the spiritual values that will guide the person's future behavior are adopted. From amongst all the world's youth, some will decide to pursue a university education. These students will have to navigate very difficult challenges during their undergraduate years, and for those from religious and spiritual backgrounds, the academic environment of most universities by no means helps them to adequately navigate these challenges. They are bombarded with messages about what the purpose of life is, what is success, what is happiness, what is a good life, how does change happen in the world, how do we know, and what are the morals that should guide us there. And at the very same time, their convictions in a spiritual reality are often brushed aside or labeled as immature or utopian. To give you an idea of the nature of these challenges and how the ISGP seminars aim to overcome them, we will again draw on the profound insights of a few participants and facilitators of the undergraduate program.
One of the challenges I think that Baha'i University students face today is that a lot of our courses are dominated by materialistic assumptions about the human being, our place in the world, and the future of our human civilization. ISGP seminars give you such a hopeful perspective of the world, and it gives you the language to participate in your university space and add this hopeful perspective. I've found that the university setting is open to hearing what we could do and how it's not all doom and gloom, and how human beings aren't just intelligent animals that are just out for their own gain. When you bring in a perspective that marries the spiritual and the material and sees them both as not dichotomous and instead as beautiful parts to humanity's journey forward, it's just a wonderful way to unite people in the university space and help people see a new way forward, whatever field that you study.
As Baha'i University students, we often face many challenges. We feel very pulled in many different directions, committing time to our studies and also committing time to our community activities and to our family and friends. And I think for me, a large thing that I took away from the seminars is that all of these different facets of our life are interrelated and need to be coherent with each other. So if we think of each of these aspects of our lives, or studies, or community service activities, or family or friends as being all arenas within which we can offer service, that helps us to see how these all work together to enrich and to give us the space to fulfill our purpose in life.
Kia ora, Ali, and thank you again to all the interviewees for sharing your invaluable insights. It appears that although the challenges which Baha'i University students face during their studies are complex, ongoing, and difficult to overcome, they are by no means insurmountable. Although there is no exact formula or recipe for how to interact meaningfully and sustainably with the academic environment, Participants entering the undergraduate seminars become equipped with the tools needed to navigate this brief but important phase of their lives. This is achieved through the thoughtful study and discussion of materials which address certain fundamental concepts, many of which have already been mentioned by the interviewees, such as the need for coherence in one's life. And they also explore how spiritual principles relate to issues which humanity is grappling with, such as climate change, racism, and economic inequality. Participants are given the opportunity to reflect with their peers about the conversations they are having, the theories they are learning, and the services they are giving in the academic environment. And of course, to address the challenges which they all seem to face. The seminars try to raise consciousness in two main ways. One, which I have already mentioned, which is through facilitator-led study of a set of materials prepared specifically for Baha'i University students, which comes from a range of sources, including messages from the Universal House of Justice, chapters from various books, and documents prepared specifically by ISGP. And secondly, through the creation of an uplifting and disciplined environment. Both of these methods of raising consciousness are just as important as each other. And to conclude our exploration into the undergraduate seminars, a final set of responses from our dear interviewees will touch on how some aspects of the ISGP environment aim to function in the creation of an uplifting, joyful, and spiritually nourishing seminar.
Alaupa, my name is Saya Tuitahi, and I have served as a facilitator for years 1 and 2 at the undergraduate seminar for ISGP. Just as our body requires physical nourishment to sustain ourselves throughout the day, our soul also requires that spiritual nourishment. And so the devotional character of the seminars is really one of its unique features, where participants really learn to draw on the powers of the Spirit to sustain ourselves throughout the day. It's those morning and evening collective devotions, and also individual prayers that are said throughout the day, or the time spent to learn a song from a prayer that somebody has shared the day before, that really provides them with that spiritual energy to sustain them throughout this period of the seminar. It's an opportunity for participants to step away from their normal environment, where multiple forces may be pulling them in several directions, to step into a space where they have the opportunity to strive to achieve a greater level of unity and collaboration with the friends who are there with them, where we learn to study and serve together in a joyful spirit.
I feel like the environment of the ISGP seminars is fairly difficult to describe, to really convey the feeling and the experience that it is to be at the seminars each year. But I think for a high school student who's coming out of a mainstream educational environment and going into like the first year of the seminars, it's actually initially quite refreshing and quite different to anything that we've really experienced before. There's an intentional commitment to collective striving for excellence, to mutual support, to working together in a spirit of love and joy to collectively learn. And it's something which you can't really, which doesn't really exist from my experience in any other educational environment that I've experienced or been in. The combination of focus group study spaces for consultation and discussion, alongside spaces for meals and spaces to play games and have sport, to sing and have collective worship. All of these contribute to a real strengthening of these bonds of friendship that the participants make when they attend, and which these friendships which strengthen each year as they attend each other, the additional years of the seminar, and grow in their learning and their understanding of the material as well.
I think the environment at ISGP plays such a massive role in the learning that comes out of it. In order to create an environment where individuals feel empowered to learn and to ask questions and to actually come out of the seminars with a greater understanding requires quite a lot of thought into how it's it's shaped. And I think something so special about the ISGP seminars is that it really is a collective learning environment, and that individuals are obviously on this path of understanding, especially within how to take control of their own learning at university, but also they're not doing this alone. They're doing this with other people that they can discuss and to ask questions to, and people that can also help them with their understanding. And that is this collective environment, and it's this way that we all help each other to further our understanding.
The environment for me, an element that was really important was universal participation, and how that everyone's perspective is important, and that we're all together unveiling this concept, and that each angle, each perspective is really important so that we can understand the whole. And I think that was such a unique aspect of the seminar.
The environment of the seminars is really intentional. So every person who participates in the seminars sees themselves as an agent of change, as an agent of creating that environment. No one is in charge of anyone else at the seminar. If we create a bad seminar, which we haven't, it's because we together did that. And if we create a wonderful, uplifting, unified seminar where consultation is used and where everyone sees one another as true friends, then that is of our own making, because we each participate in that. And that is generally what the seminars are like each year. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend seizing the opportunity to participate in these seminars if you are starting your university studies or already in your university studies. It is so not to be missed, and it is a fleeting opportunity. You will not get the chance to do this once you are not in the university space anymore. So please take up the opportunity if you can.
Kia ora, Shireen. I tautoko your remarks urging youth to take up this opportunity to attend the undergraduate seminars. They're really not to be missed. I'd also like to give a final thanks to all the interviewees who shared their experiences and insights with us. I promise we didn't script the responses. Everything they shared was genuine and from the heart. I will now virtually pass the mic back to Laura and Sunny Tairawhiti to give us an idea of what else ISGP has to offer. Thank you. Ka nui te aroha ki a koutou katoa.
In addition to the undergraduate seminars, ISGP also offers a seminar for graduates and young professionals. As suggested by its name, this seminar is aimed at Baha'is who are in that next phase of life following on from their undergraduate studies. Some will still be youth, and others will be very painfully accepting that they are no longer youth. So after their university study, some people will do further graduate study, and others will start to work, hopefully within their chosen field or profession. And one of the messages that Anthony referred to earlier from the Universal House of Justice, they write, "For many, an immediate priority will be further education, academic or vocational, according to the possibilities open to them. And new spaces for interaction with society will open up. Having taken up an occupation," the message continues, "young Baha'is naturally try to contribute to their field or even to advance it in light of the insights they gain from their continued study of the Revelation. And they strive to be examples of integrity and excellence in their work." So I think it's very common as young professionals finishing study and especially entering the workforce that we're very aware of these new spaces for interaction that are opening up to us. And, we think a lot about the conversations that people are having, the questions that they're asking, some of the problems that our profession or field is grappling with. But it's often not very clear how to go about introducing relevant aspects of the teaching and of the teachings in a language that's open, that's acceptable, and that invites further conversation. So in a sense, while the undergraduate seminars that Anthony spoke about, the aim is very broad in scope, really to accompany a young person to think about many aspects of their education and service. The seminar for graduates and young professionals is much more focused on building capacity to participate in the discourses of society, in these conversations that are happening around us. In a letter written in 2013, the House of Justice states that every believer has the opportunity to examine the forces operating in society and introduce relevant aspects of the teachings within the discourses prevalent in whatever social space he or she is present. Participation in the discourses of society really goes to the heart of what it means to practice one's faith. Baha'u'llah exhorted his followers to occupy themselves with the pressing issues of society. He said, "Be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age you live in, and center your deliberations on its exigencies and requirements." The origins of Baha'i participation in public discourse can be traced back to the very earliest days of the faith. For instance, Baha'u'llah wrote to the leaders of the world about numerous themes that would have resonated very strongly with society's preoccupations of the time. Systems of government, the benefits of international peace, the burden of taxation and corruption, to name just a few. During his lifetime, Abdu'l-Baha continually laid before those trying to solve the challenges facing humanity those spiritual truths that would help them to achieve their high aims. The Secret of Divine Civilization is but one example, penned anonymously, and one can only imagine out of deep, deep love for his fellow countrymen, in which Abdu'l-Baha addresses the rulers and people of Persia, encouraging them to be open-minded to new ideas and learn from other countries, whilst at the same time always remembering that spiritual qualities provide the surest foundation for social progress. The messages of the Guardian also contain powerful analyses of world conditions and the forces propelling it to a glorious future. So in this spirit, one of the main objectives of the graduate seminar is to assist individuals to develop this capacity to examine or read social reality in greater depth, to understand the forces that are operating in the world, and then to contribute to the advancement of thought from a perspective that draws on both science and religion, conceived as two complementary systems of knowledge and practice. When thinking about the contributions that we can make as Baha'is, on the one hand, of course, we look to the accumulated knowledge of humanity across the arts and sciences, and we try to gain a very deep understanding of knowledge and practice within our own fields. At the same time, though, the House of Justice has cautioned us in one of its letters never to lose sight of the aim of the faith to effect a transformation in society. And to this end, they say, we must remain acutely aware of the inadequacies of current modes of thinking and doing. This, without feeling the least degree of superiority, without assuming an air of secrecy or aloofness, and without adopting an unnecessarily critical stance towards society. It's no mean feat. In this connection, gaining a deeper understanding of the principles and concepts contained within the revelation of Baha'u'llah is of the utmost importance. Baha'u'llah is the all-knowing physician, his finger on the pulse of mankind. Through studying the writings and reflecting on the ways in which the concepts have been described, we can slowly develop a more profound understanding of their implications for our world today and become better able to identify what needs to change if humanity is to move forward. So, of course, gaining a deeper understanding of the revelation of Baha'u'llah, learning to read social reality in its light, developing a language and the qualities needed to contribute to conversations in our workplaces, in our neighborhoods, in organizations and societies. All of this is a lifelong endeavor. But like everything in life, our powers can be greatly enhanced when we join with others. The graduate seminar is one space, a particularly intense one, where Baha'is can join with others in the same phase of life, faced with some of the similar opportunities and challenges, and asking some of the same questions. Attending the seminar itself can have a profound impact on one's thinking, and past participants have found this to express itself in many facets of their life for years to come after attending. One thing that we look forward to as more and more people attend is seeing the opportunities that will arise for participants to continue their conversations with one another and also with others after the graduate seminar. For instance, Baha'is who are working in the same field might come together regularly to exchange experiences, to identify significant issues and trends within their field, and then attempt to correlate them with the teachings, and then to support one another's efforts to start to introduce Baha'i ideas and concepts, whether directly or indirectly, to their colleagues. So before wrapping up the presentation, there are a few practical matters that I wanted to mention here to do with the graduate seminar. The first is that for most people, taking 10 plus days away from family and work and getting together the finances to attend a seminar in Australia, it does require some forward thinking, consultation and planning. But the opportunity is priceless and not to be missed. So if you can attend now or in the coming years and make the necessary arrangements, I encourage you to seize the chance. When else in your life will you dedicate 10 days to a deep study of the principles of the faith, to thinking about your work and professional path in their light, and then to be able to benefit from the insights of many others in a spiritually charged environment? So another practical matter is that participants of the graduate seminar are required to first complete an online course. This is offered by an organization called Lazos Learning, and it consists of a combination of readings, written reflections, and some online discussions. The particular prerequisite course for the seminar looks in very great depth at the principles of the oneness of humankind and justice, and it does so from a perspective that I personally found to be very, very thought-provoking. So the point that I wanted to mention though about this course is that while Lazos Learning has been learning over the years how to improve the experience of studying these kind of materials online, the idea of taking an online course can still be daunting for some people. The course requires around 10 to 15 hours commitment a week, so you obviously have to make space for it within your life for a period of time. But again, joining with other people can be of great help. So inviting one friend or two, you may live in different places around the country, or a whole group of you from the same town or city could take the course together at the same time, help one another through it, and also be able to benefit from some in-person conversations. So it's worth mentioning here that while the graduate seminar gives priority to applicants who are under 35 years of age, this particular course offered by Lazos Learning, as well as a number of other very excellent courses that they offer, are open to anybody. So this leads me on to my final point. Either unluckily or luckily for us, this online summer school format doesn't allow for a sort of a live questions and answers session. But we did want to address one question that often comes to us, especially because we are aware that we're speaking to a whole cross-section of the Baha'i community in New Zealand. And this question is, how can I participate, or can I participate in these seminars if I'm not eligible, and especially if I'm outside of the age range? So the first thing that we usually say is, if you can see the value in such programs, and if you wish that they were around in your younger days, please do encourage those young Baha'is that you know who are pursuing their higher education to make the most of this precious opportunity. The window of time when one can attend is fairly short, and it will pass. Aside from this, the other thing that we wanted to emphasize is that the concepts explored in the ISGP seminars are in no way unique to ISGP. It's just that ISGP addresses them from a particular perspective of a young person at university or entering into their profession, and provides a particular environment in which to study these materials. But many of the higher courses of the Institute process, for example, explore the same themes that are touched on in the ISGP materials. Units 2 and 3 of Book 9 look at gaining a historical perspective. Book 11 explores the idea of material means. There's Book 13 on social action, and Book 14 on participation in the discourses of society. And in addition to the higher courses, there are some of the courses of Lazos learning that I mentioned, and of course, as you all know, the writings of the Guardian and of the central figures of the faith. So all this is to say that as more and more people deepen their understanding of the principles of the faith through their study of these very precious resources, as well as through trying to apply the insights they gain to reality, we look forward more and more to seeing the intellectual life of the Baha'i community in Aotearoa grow in vitality. To end the presentation today, we will leave you with a few friends talking about their own experiences attending the graduate seminar. Ngā mihi anō, kia haumaru tō raumati.
Kia ora, my name is Tessa, and I am currently completing my PhD through the College of Creative Arts at Massey University while teaching art at Takaro School. So my field of profession is in the fine arts. When I had attended the graduate seminar, I had just completed 5 years of serving the June Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program and the community building activities of the Ruhi Institute while studying crafts and arts and education in various contexts. Attending the seminar helped me realize the importance of contributing to discourses of society. Before attending the seminar, I felt that grassroots action was the most important thing, but then I realized how these could go hand in hand and in coherence with each other. The seminar also helped me to identify the areas of discourses that I felt most familiar with and had a desire to contribute to. It helped me to analyze the gaps in the discourse and figure out ways I could share or apply Baha'i teachings in these discourses to contribute to them. It also helped me to think about the posture of learning and humility that I need to have when contributing to these discourses. I was able to return from the seminar with a lot of confidence and conviction and clarity of thought about how I was going to approach my field. And this confidence and efforts helped me to receive many confirmations, which have helped lead me to where I am today in my field. Young professionals and graduates face the challenge of needing to maintain resilience within their fields when many things around them are very contradictory to the Baha'i teachings. But this is also an opportunity for young professionals to find new ways and new approaches and methods to uplift their fields and to contribute to discourses, applying the Baha'i teachings in their efforts. Often, young professionals have to find ways to collaborate, consult, and build capacity in fields and spaces where it's designed to compete, or where things are dictated, or where people are excluded when they don't have any expertise. So this can be dismaying for people, disheartening for people who are trying to find ways to collaborate and build capacity in others. But the seminars help encourage us in this way. They help us to analyze our fields and clarify our approaches and methods. And they inspire us to take charge of our own ways of contributing to our fields, and to not lose hope that we can do this in ways that are in line with the Baha'i teachings. I would recommend these seminars for anyone who would like to earn a living in a way that will be coherent with their family life, with the progress of their neighborhood and their communities, and with the Baha'i teachings.
Hi, my name's Akila. I studied medicine and I'm currently working as a GP in Auckland. I attended the graduate seminar for ISGP in 2014 in Sydney while I was still in medical school, and I was able to attend because I had completed another degree. The graduate seminar provided me with a conceptual framework through which I could view the world and also my profession. One of the main concepts that I remember exploring was science, which helped me to understand the origins of the current modes of scientific research and thinking, and to see that it's possible for these systems to change over time. It helped me to think outside the square in terms of the current medical system and how it could change, rather than just accepting the status quo without questioning it. Another concept we learned about was knowledge. We looked at the generation of knowledge and how this is currently limited to certain groups of people around the world, but there are many regions which are unable to contribute to that process, either due to a lack of resources or not being given the opportunity to do so. This creates a barrier towards progress because it doesn't allow for universal participation in that process. Current medical system is largely focused on a drug-based model rather than a nutritional or preventative model in terms of its approach to diseases. And there's so much knowledge that's latent within different cultures which has yet to be tapped into, specifically related to health. In relation to knowledge, another idea we learned about was around truth or reality being one, and that everyone is moving along different paths, closer and closer to that point of oneness in terms of their understanding. In my field, this made me think about how there are different branches of health or schools of thought, but overall the reality of health must be one. And this helped me to be more open-minded towards other branches of health aside from Western medicine, which is what I was trained in, and begin to think about how all these different branches can be brought together. Learning all this inspired me to recently complete postgraduate study in nutrition and also explore public health, as this will help me to contribute to change at a system level. In terms of challenges which face Baha'i graduates and young professionals, I think one of the main ones is that people may feel disheartened working within systems which are outdated or seem difficult to change. The ISGP Graduate Seminar provides an alternative framework which is rooted in the principles of the Baha'i faith and gives hope as to how some of these systemic issues can be addressed through social discourse and social action. The seminars raised my consciousness and inspired me with a glimpse into the society building power that's latent within the Baha'i faith and how I can contribute to that through my profession.
Kia ora, my name is Zen. I attended the ISGP Graduate Seminar about 8 years ago, which is when I had just begun to work in my field. I really appreciated the space of the seminars early on in my career, as they allowed me to think about how I could use my education to be of benefit to humanity, and also think about how I could actually further my field, or what sort of contributions I could make to my field as a Baha'i. And looking back on the seminars, I can see that it's really been very influential in my decision making to date, especially with my career decisions. So, for instance, it's helped me gravitate towards working in low-cost housing. And then within the field of low-cost housing, it's helped me think about how I can make a unique contribution there. And so, for instance, I've been able to, thanks to the seminar, identify certain moral themes that are not really part of the discourse on low-cost housing, such as human nature, justice, the oneness of mankind, and these are all themes that are studied at the graduate seminar. And so I think that exploring those themes there planted a seed in me, which eventually allowed me to make a contribution to my field at the level of thought, exploring those ideas. The other thing that I would like to say about the seminars is that the materials are really, really well chosen. I reckon it was the best tertiary experience I ever had, or have had. It felt like they had managed to kind of take 2 years, the equivalent of 2 years of full-time study, and compress it down into 10 days, just to give you an idea of, just how great the material was. So I just highly recommend any young professionals go, because if you're like me, it could very well change your life. Kia ora.